One of the strange things for me was that my experience of dark night of the soul took place in what I would say quite good period in my life. It was the moment when one of my big dreams came true. On the surface, everything was not too bad. And in the beginning, what was happening in my life was actually can be considered as quite pleasant experience. But what was going inside me, everything about my feelings and all the spiritual experience that I was going through was quite dark. So, as a person who was born and grew up in a country when I would say from December till April, everything is covered with snow, and in some periods it could be as cold as minus 30 degrees Celsius. I had a dream to spend the winter in a warm country, in a sunny climate where I can go to the sea. So I wanted to be in a hot place for all winter, and I had this dream for a long time. So that was the moment. It was October, November 2020. I was in Mexico. In Mexico was the second time, but this time I was Cabo San Lucas. I was there first time on this side. And the weather was great. It was not too hot, but it was warm. And we were going to the sea. We were spending quite a lot of time under the sun. And I enjoyed that I can go and get fresh squeezed juices whenever I want, and this local fruits. So it can look like some nice experience. But what was really going on with me was quite opposite from what was going on outside. Now already after like much more than 2 years passed, I think that something, you can say, I don't know, God, creator, universe, whatever you want to call it, I think something was helping me to go through this period. That's why the external situation was kind of organized in a way that it was giving me time, space. I didn't have to do much. I could relax, I could rest, I could also take care of my physical health and enjoy certain things. But this was, I think that was a help to go through this inner work and those inner transformations, which is happening during Dark Night of the Souls, which others also call the ego death. Before it started, a few months before, I had this wake up moment, and it was very, very unusual, interesting experience. But it's topic for another video. I don't want to make this one too long. I was in Mexico, and I remember how I was feeling that I don't want to do anything. I even don't want to go out. I even don't want to go to the sea. And I was not even alone. I was with my husband, so it's not like I was lonely. So I had a company, and we could spend time together. And he was always inviting me to do this or that, and I just didn't want. I preferred to stay on the bed, do nothing, and I was feeling like nothing makes any sense. Like all my dreams, all my goals, everything that I wanted, nothing what I'm feeling about myself or about my life. And that's why it was very difficult to enjoy good things, and it was difficult to do anything. And also when you go through the dark night of the soul, a lot of past traumas kind of come to the surface. So you can go through this process of healing. You experience them, you give time and place for all these feelings and emotions that arise, and then slowly you let it go. And that's a difficult moment, to feel all these difficult feelings. When you look around and you think like, oh, I have all this time, place, opportunities to do stuff. I should feel good. I should use this time, and why I'm not happy. And then this self-blame comes at this moment. And it's difficult to stop it. It's difficult not to judge yourself when you're going through it. And what I think that this moment of judgment, this moment of expectations about how I should behave, how I should feel, how I should do, this is one of the things that actually can prolong the period and make it more difficult. And one of the lessons of the dark night that I think I had to learn, but maybe also you and someone else, is this kind of acceptance. Is the moment to give yourself time to go through these feelings. Because why, for example, some of the past traumas can come. Some of us come to this moment after we already experienced quite a lot. Probably after we've done a lot of self-work, after we changed, learned, after we became more aware of ourselves, of everything. So we learned something. And we changed our life probably already in some way, maybe not. And you come to this moment, and then all these old feelings come into you. You don't want to leave them because they are not from now. Now things maybe not too bad. Then actually some of the problems start happening in my life that were already more real in the real world, not inside me. But it's different story. So first, things were not too bad, and I was feeling bad, and all the old feelings were coming to me. And the important understanding here is to kind of tell yourself, that's what I learned, that when I really went through these very difficult periods in my life in the past, I had to deal with very difficult situations. I had to do a lot of things, like really do them, not just living them. And when I was very busy, when I was suffering, when I didn't have time and space to let myself feel all the feelings, because this was the moment of actions, maybe of some kind of fight with yourself or with circumstances. It was a lot of active doing in the past when all this kind of traumas or the sufferings first came. There were the reasons, the situation that gave the reason to the sufferings came. And I had to deal with them. I have to solve these problems. So what I didn't have is probably enough time, space, as I said, and enough resources to actually process these feelings in a healthy way. So they were kind of blocked. I didn't process them properly. And they stuck somewhere in my subconscious. They even stuck in my body, I would say. And until they released, it's difficult to move forward. And that's the part of the process. To remind yourself that while you're going through this, it's okay. It's okay that that you feel bad, even things are not too bad. That the feeling that you have may be much stronger than you would expect them to be, considering your situation. Maybe you feel like everything is falling apart and everything is wrong, but when you start to look rationally, it's not like this, and you blame yourself for these feelings. That's one of the things to learn. Just accept it as it is, and accept it as it is, and accept this also moment of losing your identity in some way. You start seeing that everything that you thought about yourself before is kind of dissolving, disappearing, that you don't really understand much about who you really are, what you really want, what you should do in this life, and you want to figure it out, because the moment you're losing it, and the ego wants to have it back. It needs some kind of form, because even in the form you become you feel more weird. So your ego, your mind, wants to get this form back. And it starts to create this form in a bit negative way, because you can look at yourself and you're saying, everything's not too bad, why I'm so suffering, something is wrong with me, maybe I have a depression, maybe I have this or that, maybe I just don't know, maybe I'm so lazy or insecure, or I'm broken, something else. You start to find some ways to identify yourself, but with this negative way. And the best thing to do is, as much as possible, just to let go the idea that you need to identify it anyway. Just let things be as they are. And one other thing that I wanted to share in this video is what helped me actually to go through this. How it changed through this reluctancy, through this avoidance, through this kind of, I was not accepting what was going on. I wasn't quick fix, quick solution. How slowly start changing. How it helped me to move the process. One of the things that I was doing at this moment, I enrolled the Eckhart Tolle's course about being present. And Eckhart Tolle, if you don't know, is a spiritual teacher, and of course his teaching are very helpful to not attach to your ego too much, and to let all the processes come and just to flow as they are, and to notice how you don't really have to control everything, you don't need to know everything. So I was watching his lectures, doing some of the exercises he was giving, and I was noticing how it's helping me at some moments. It was not some quick fix or anything, but it was helping me probably to be in the moment, to let my feelings be as they are, to release some of the old and past experience, and to go through the spiritual awakening process, to accepting that I don't have to know how much it will last, I don't have to know what will be next, and I learned to accept that I don't know really who am I, what I'm doing here, and for now, if I don't know what is the meaning of everything, it's okay. So I was learning to be okay with things as they are. Then the other difficult part arrived when, and that's maybe what you're experiencing, because I gave an example that I was feeling bad, even the outside things were not bad. Then some problems started happening, some unexpected situation that was very difficult to deal with. They were scary. They were difficult, and they were actually also part of learning how to deal with this uncertainty, with a situation that happened from nowhere that you couldn't predict, and you need to do something about it, and how to live with these situations, how not to make yourself crazy by trying to figure it all out, and live kind of step by step, here and now, what needs to be done here and now in this specific moment. When I look in the past, how was the experience for me, it really looked like someone was taking care of me, something, because it feels like the first few months as I was prepared to then to deal with difficult situations that came, and also my life before, how much I also worked on myself, and how much different methods and techniques I know about healing, about transformation, about also changing myself, and I had to use many of them, and to figure out what's working here, what's not, because it's also kind of, I feel like, a preparation also for the next stage, which is sometimes called the void or the hermit stage, that I will make a separate video about. Dark night of the soul is an intensive experience. It's a lot of feelings to process, a lot of things to let go, a lot of things to accept. It's changing you massively, and that could be difficult. But what I wanted to share here maybe is how not to make it even more difficult than it should be. And first of the lesson, it's surrender to it, and not trying to change, not trying to judge yourself, judging, blaming, expectations, fighting with it. That's what not helping. And maybe if you're asking yourself, am I going through dark night of the soul, or even just depressed, I can also give you example that I noticed. As a person who suffered severe depression for years, many years ago in my past, I know the difference, the main difference. Even the feelings can look similar. When you're really depressed, you have some self-destructive behavior. You can make certain choices, do certain actions that are really dangerous for you. You kind of destroying your life, yourself, your relationship. And if you look at the reality, you can notice it. In Dark Night of the Soul, you can feel similar in a way that you can't find any reason to live. Maybe you're not happy about yourself, about your feelings. You're going through difficult feelings, and sometimes you feel something like grieving, but you don't know even what it is about. You're very, very low on energy. and you experience a lot of negative emotions, and you feel like nothing can make you happy. That's the similarity, but the difference is, at least for me, I saw that I'm definitely not self-destructive. Yeah, I mean, this period could look that I'm not doing anything and I can say I'm wasting my time, but I'm not creating any bad habits or certain addictions. I'm not ruining my health. I'm not ruining relationship with other people. Yeah, even can have some problems, but it's not that destructive. So I would say that is the main sign, how destructive you are to yourself and to your life in general. If the only thing is kind of wasting time, spending a lot of time doing nothing, feeling very low, maybe losing some opportunities, missing some chances, that's how you can see it. Yeah, it could be just the spiritual experience. But if you see that you really destroying something, that you destroying your health especially, then you can look more into depression and maybe find some professional help, a doctor who can diagnose you, help you in this situation. My video is just my experience, my story. It's not a medical advice or anything. If you notice that you're going through dark night of the soul and you don't want to prolong it and you don't want to make it too difficult as are, learn not to judge yourself. Learn to accept this period as it is now, and find some maybe teachings, some books that are helping you to be in the moment, something that can help you. Like I mentioned, Eckhart Tolle was very helpful for me, and also I read a few books of David Hawkins. I actually had another video about his letting go technique, how it helped me a lot actually. I will put the link to the video. You can find helpful to watch or read stories about other people and their experience, and it can kind of help you in a way that you see they also had it, they went through this, and it's ended. So it's not like it will not last forever. I don't have to fight with it. I don't have to do anything like here and now. I'm talking a lot about it because that was one of my mistakes. When I look back, I think if I was not putting so much pressure into me that I should feel differently and do differently and what's wrong with me, the period would be easier, and I think maybe even certain situation would not have happened in my life, because they were teaching moments for sure. And I think if I've learned my lessons in some easier way, maybe they would not have happened. I will end this video with a bit of motivation, maybe inspiration, that it ends, and then the other stage coming, that is still have its own challenges, but it's not so intensive. It doesn't have so much emotional pain. It's much calmer. It's the void that I'm going probably for more than a year. I'm already in this void, and I'm learning how to go through it, and I found something that is helpful for it. So yeah, then will be the void, and it's very different, and it's a rest. It's really rest after all the intensity from the dark night of the soul. It feels better, but still with its own challenges. But now I can say it already because I went through it. And another thing that can help you is my other video that I made about unconditional self-acceptance, because during the dark night of the soul, what is really helping, as I already mentioned, don't be so judgmental. It's not even yet this self-love. It starts with self-acceptance, and then you move to self-love eventually. And if you learn this lesson, if you understand it, it will be such a huge help to go through this. And what I think now that for me was maybe one of the main things to learn during the dark night of the soul. Now I'm learning the another one that I will share later. And now it just feels that everything was happening in the right way. Everything was happening for me. It's not like it was happening against me, all these things, and that I was suffering for nothing. It started kind of, things start coming together. I still have some uncertainty. I still have some maybe thing that I'm not very happy about, but it's kind of becoming a bit more clear that everything happens for a reason, and that all the heavy negative feelings, they eventually come into its end, and even if they come in again, they still have its end. And all the experience has all the difficult experience, everything that you don't like in your life, there is always some lesson. When you see this lesson, when you find it, when you learn it, the change happens first inside and then outside, and you're moving, you're growing. And when you allow your ego to dissolve, for me, it didn't happen like this in one day, and as I see for many other people, it also happened very, very gradually. Your attachment to your ego, to your this identity that you created, is becoming less strong. Some parts of your ego start dissolving, and it feels like you're becoming lighter, less fixed in certain form, that you're more kind of flexible and you're more flowing. And that starts happening after you manage to accept yourself as you are, to accept your feelings as they are, your situation as it is. First you accept it, then you look for a lesson, and then you change. You're changing, and it's becoming very, very different.